I call this activity exploding shapes because you're going to make a number of shapes on a piece of paper and make them look like they're exploding right off the paper. For this project, you're going to need a sheet of paper, and I just have some plain old printer paper, and that works just fine. You're going to need a pencil, and you're going to need a straight edge. Now, if you don't have a ruler, that's okay. Look around the house and see what you can find, because I found this old paint stick, and that would work because it has a nice sharp edge here that I can draw a line with. And I also took a Girl Scout cookie box and made that into something that I can use for a straight edge. I took the flaps and folded them underneath and taped them. Just cut that off. And I can get a nice straight edge in drawing a line with a pencil, and it's not going to fold up like it would on, say, a piece of paper. It continue to be nice and straight. So we're going to start by putting something that we call a vanishing point on our paper, and that's going to be where the shapes are going to look like they're exploding from. So it's a vanishing, or where vision ends. I like to draw with a vanishing point that's a little off from the center of the paper. It's not smack dab in the center. I put a dot here. That's my vanishing point. And I just want to have that so that it will be a little bit off to the side. I think sometimes it just creates more interest if it's not smack dab in the center. But you can try anything. And then around that shape, or that dot, I'm going to put about 4 to 6 angular shapes. So here's where my straight edge comes in. And I take my pencil and I'm going to draw some angles, complete them around to make a shape that has all sorts of interesting little cut-ins with it, but always with a straight line and meeting at a point. So when I finish this shape, it's going to look like my next piece of paper. There we go. And there's my first shape. Now, I'm not going to cover over that vanishing point. Maybe later on you can try one where you do that, and that'll be interesting to see if you can figure that one out. But I'm going to do some more shapes around the outside edge of the paper, and in this case, I've done 5 angular shapes around the outside of the paper. And you can see with this shape right here, I've already started connecting them to that dot so that I can make things look like they're exploding. What I've done is I took my ruler, lined it up with each point on the shape, and drew a line from the vanishing point, or from the shape to the vanishing point. Now there's 2 rules to follow when you do that. Number 1 is, if I start back here at this point in the back of the shape, I don't draw it because I would have to draw through the shape to do it. So I don't draw it at all. In this case over here, you can see I've drawn the line and I've lined it up to my vanishing point, but I drew it only as far as it was outside of the shape. As soon as I hit a line, and there's a line from my shape, I stop drawing it. And I'm going to try and make all of these look like they're just cut right out of the shape, exploding back. So you can see I've gone a little further with this shape, and I've finished this shape. I've done all the points that I can draw, and I've started on this shape. You want to start with the shapes that are closest to the vanishing point, because it makes it a little bit easier. In some cases, you'll have to stop doing a drawing because the shape behind it will hit one of these. Like over here, if I draw from here and line up to the vanishing point, I can draw it, but when I hit this shape, I stop drawing it. So you're going to connect your points all the way around until you have something that looks somewhat like this. Now my shapes should look like they're kind of exploding from that vanishing point. You could try doing a whole bunch of different vanishing points and different shapes on here. That might be really interesting to look at. And then once you've done that, you can take and you can shade, actually, if you would like to, those portions of the shape that are going back towards the vanishing point. And I lighten them up the closer they get to the vanishing point, just because as the shape gets, or the surface gets further away from you, it would tend to look a little less intense in color. So we give a feeling of distance that way too. Now, I can also take and add color to this. I can add and decorate my shapes. And so I want to do some different things to it. And here's one where I just added some decoration into each one of the shapes. And I cut those decorations off when they hit the edge of the shape. So you can see there's the star, only part of it, part of the star over here. Even on the apple, you can see that it almost looks like they were cut off, as if that shape has come apart. I just added plain old color. I didn't do any shading on the color that I added straight down to the vanishing point. But there are so many things that you guys can do with this. I'll bet you can get really creative. And remember, you are only limited by your imagination. So have fun with this. Come up with some really creative things, and I would love to see them. So if you can even post them, that would be wonderful to see some of them. Have fun. Enjoy it.